On today's episode of the DeRaud-Messinger Show, we got number one Alabama versus Texas. Dylan, the Death Star is officially making its way to Austin. Longhorns fans, don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. It's greatly appreciated. So to begin, Dylan, yes, we are talking number one Alabama versus Texas. The Death Star is well on its way to the capital of Texas. And Dylan, I got some basic game info because, that's my thing. So the game is Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time. The game will be played at Darrell K. Royal Texas Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. As always, the details, Dylan, have not changed. And the game will be televised on Fox. However, if you also want to catch ESPN College Game Day, you can do that. And the Fox Big Noon Kickoff crew are also going to be there. Alabama is favored by 20 points. Dylan, scouting report. What are you feeling here?
I just want to make a little note, though, Devon. If you're watching College Game Day, make sure to be looking out for Devon. He's going to be having a sign. He's going to say, viewers, will you go out with me? Isn't that right, Devon?
I thought it was going to be DeRaud-Messinger Show, but...
Okay. Some good promotion.
Yeah.
That's even better.
You have a messed up mind. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, but most importantly, Devon, the scouting report. We're going to talk about Darth Vader here, and that's Bryce Young, Heisman winner. Don't know if you know about him, Devon, from last year. A few times he pulled a rabbit out of the hat and won the game. I'm talking mostly about the Auburn game last year, which rivalry game nonetheless, but it was an Alabama offense that was struggling, and Bryce Young single-handedly was the catalyst of bringing that back and making some key plays and ultimately winning that game, getting basically Alabama right back to the college football championship, ultimately losing to Georgia. But besides the point, very successful here. Then at running back, they have Georgia Tech transfer Jahmyr Gibbs. Last year was his sophomore year. He had 1,800 yards accumulated, which is the second most in Georgia Tech single-season history. So pretty good get out of the transfer portal. Then you have Jack linebacker Will Anderson, Devon, who is a projected number one pick. Could be top 5, could be top 10, but let's just say he's arguably one of the best players in college football at the moment. And then alongside of him, he has leading tackler this season, linebacker Jalen Moody, who had 6 tackles against Utah State last week. So, Devon, safe to say there's a lot of talent on the number one team, which I don't think is a surprise to very many.
Yeah, quite honestly, Dylan, I'm trying to get past your disturbing jokes still, but my note for the scouting report, well, ... this team is stacked. As you mentioned, Bryce Young. Anytime you got the Heisman winner returning to play on a number one football team, I think you're okay. Now, Texas has an advantage, and I'm using that word, Dylan, very loosely, at wide receiver for Alabama just due to an inexperience at that position. They're losing Jameson Williams and John Mechie to the NFL. Cameron Latu, their third leading receiver from last season. Dylan, when is the best time to make a comeback after an injury? The week you're playing somebody, right? Like Texas. Yes, he's coming back most likely from an injury. And, that's obviously someone that Texas linebackers are going to have to be keeping an eye on. He's one of the best tight ends in the country. And then Dylan already mentioned Gibbs. I mean, Alabama, they just plop their hand in other schools. And, we like this Georgia Tech running back. We got the Georgia Tech running back. We want this high school recruit. We got this high school recruit. That's how they do it. And, for good reason. They win a lot. And then defensively, Dylan already mentioned it. Got Will Anderson Jr. at linebacker, who's projected the number one pick in the NFL Draft 2023. Not too bad there, Dylan. And then Sark in his Alabama Week press conference was really just harping and praising on those linebacker for the Crimson Tide. One specifically, he noted a couple of guys, but he mentioned Dallas Turner, who last season finished with 8.5 sacks. And he's only a sophomore this season, which, if you're in the SEC, is quite concerning. You're hoping that maybe speeds up that eligibility, Dylan. Thinks about the NFL Draft. But unfortunately for all those teams, Dallas Turner is still in the SEC. And then lastly, Dylan, I had to do this. I apologize. You make enough Klondike jokes. I am having to note the cornerbacks, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Just a given. I mean, A, he's got a rock star of a name, and B, he's a rock star of a player, Dylan. So that's a killer combo. It's some Ricky Bobby stuff going on. Then you also got Eli Ricks, and also projected first rounder depending on the mock drafts. So talent in the secondary, they're not lacking. But overall, yet again, this team is stacked. That's my literal first sentence. And Texas has certainly their work cut out for them. Now, Dylan, X Factors, what are you feeling?
Well, Devon, I would consider culture my X factor going into this matchup. Battle between cultures. Which team has the culture? Everyone knows a game is won in the press conference. Who says the right words? Who gets the team morale right where it needs to be? No, I'm just kidding, Devon. But that was a solid press conference. I like what Coach Stark had to say. But we're talking about culture. I think Alabama probably has the number one culture, so it's tough to say that another team would have a better one. I mean, that is the definition of a winning culture right now. Saban's been having a tight ship for a long time. Probably would say about a decade there at Alabama. But most importantly, Devon, and my real X factor is someone going to have a bad day on Bama, and Texas is going to need to make turnovers in that secondary. That linebacking core is going to need to create pressure. The defensive line is going to be having to go up against those five-star offensive linemen for Bama. Will they get pressure on Bryce Young, make him scramble, use his feet, hopefully get him a little uncomfortable? It's hard to say that making Bryce Young scramble is a good thing.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen some highlights still. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, but you're going to need to still make him uncomfortable. That's what Georgia did in the championship game. They were able to get to him, kind of get in his head a little bit. He's still going to make those spectacular plays, plays where probably best comparison is Russell Wilson, similar in the way that he just kind of creates a play out of nothing. You think you have him, you think you got three guys right on top of him, and he just chucks one up and basically probably gets a 50-yard gain or a touchdown, Devon. So that's just something that you're going to have to contend with. There's probably going to be 2 or 3 this game, but Texas needs to be consistent and continuously get at the quarterback and make his day not fun.
Yeah, and I mean, I could have gone cliche, Dylan, and say the answer that I say seemingly most weeks because it seemingly is applicable most weeks. I could say Texas's offensive line is the X factor. Last week in the opener, Dylan, they started 4 underclassmen. I alluded to that in my preview. 2 freshmen, a sophomore, I believe, and a redshirt sophomore. That still looks like it's going to be the case against Alabama. But yet again, Dylan, that's a cop-out answer. Of course they got to play well if they want to have any chance in this game. With Quinn Ewers, you need him upright. You want Bijan to get a little bit of push for him. But I'm going on the other side of the ball. I'm going Texas defensive line. It's no secret that Alabama last season, offensively, on that line was not as good as they've been in years past. Is that because they've lost Coach Kyle Flood to the Longhorns? I'm literally just saying that for the purpose of this video, seemingly. But it'd be interesting. But, Nick Saban, Dylan, he makes some calls, and then boom, former NFL head coach is an assistant or, former college head coach. So I think he's okay there. But, yes, that Texas defensive line, they forced 4 sacks against Louisiana Monroe last week in the opener. Baron Sorrell had 1.5 sacks. Can they get some push on the Alabama front? And as Dylan mentioned, force Young to be uncomfortable. Young is not going to make too many mistakes. At least you would not expect that. He's the Heisman winner for a reason. But can you force him to get some throws that just get off, just get in his head a little bit? We'll see. And then, of course, another X factor. It's not my main X factor, of course, here, but offensive efficiency for Longhorns. Can Ewers and Bijan get yards and touchdowns without the turnovers? Ewers is a young quarterback and a bit of a gunslinger. He's got a lot to learn, of course, and this is going to be a big game, Dylan, for him to learn. Can he stay out of the interception column? Can he stay away from fumbles? But that applies to everyone on the Longhorns offense. Bijan, of course, you would expect would get the most touches in this game. So overall, take care of the football. Good things happen. Dylan was talking about forcing some turnovers. That's ideal for any team in any game. That's what Texas is going to need to happen, though, in this one. Now,
Devon, I just want to say, we're continuing on X factors here. It seems like we're naming a lot of things. I'm going to say my other X factor is the entire Texas team.
Yeah.
They're all going to have to play well.
No kidding. If Alabama has a B game, B- game, Dylan, you know what happens? They're still going to roll, right? You're going to need to play your A game, and you're going to have and you're going to have to force Alabama to play well below that level. Now, Dylan, danger level, you're kind of alluding to it there. What are you feeling? What's the temperature on the 0 to 10 water like?
It's tough, Devon. I feel like we need to really create a solid parameters for our danger level 1 through 10. I feel like there's times where last year I saw red and possibly said like 15 or 100, maybe a million. I don't know maybe which game it was. There was a
It wasn't very scientific, yes, but
yeah, there was like 4 straight losses, and I just lost confidence in everything, and it came over me. But this year we're gonna make it better. Devon, it's gonna be more strict. There's a lot of boxes that need to be checked to decide which danger level we are currently at. And Devon, all the boxes are being ticked right now. Number 1, Alabama's in town. I've got danger level 10. Really, the only way I see Texas having a chance in this game is if Ewers plays lights out, puts the entire world on notice. Bijan Robinson rushes for 300 yards and has like 5 touchdowns, and this Alabama offense just comes out flat. Very unlikely that that's going to happen.
Yeah, danger level. I'm also feeling that. UT Austin, a lot of the graduates and current students they like formulas, so I'm gonna give them a formula. And I'm not trying to be negative here. I'm trying to, be as objective as I can. Alabama's the top-ranked team in the country, with the returning Heisman winner,
yes,
and a head coach that always seems to have a chip on his shoulder. But Dylan, probably a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder when Texas, knocks on their door and then steals a couple of his assistant coaches with Sark and Flood and Banks and everybody. Not a good formula right there. Usually I feel like would not equal success. But yet again, it's a 10 for a reason. Texas is going to have to show up because, the alarm is being sounded right now. Will they show up for that 11 a.m. kick? We'll see. Now, speaking of showing up, Dylan, predictions, what do you got?
Well, Devon, it's a tough one. I know we talked about the spread being a 20-point difference in Bama's favor. It's going to be hard for Texas to cover this one. Bama's going to have to be out partying at 6th Street, the game the night before, to ultimately give Texas a chance in this one.
Let's offer up some deals, yeah. 6th Street deals.
35-24, Bama, 21-point victory there, Devon.
You going which, 35 or 45? 45.
45.
45-24. Okay. Well,
yeah.
Dylan, you know how rare it is for us to get a similar score. I got
how rare?
Yeah, it seems very rare. I'm usually right, so it's kind of astonishing. But I got Alabama winning this one, 41-24. Yet again, the formula just is not there for Texas in this one. People are gonna make their analogies to the 2010 championship game all they want. I don't understand why it gets brought up so much, just given the fact that these are two completely different programs. One went up, one went down. And this is a chance, though, Dylan, to get a little bit of a revival, get the defibrillator out for Texas. If they were able to win this one, that would spark something for sure. But there's just too many question marks for Texas in this one. However, Dylan, one analogy I'm going to make here, still pretty different. For Sam Ehlinger against USC in his freshman year, that was, as you mentioned earlier, a game where a quarterback, just rose to the national level in terms of notoriety. Even in a loss, it's still possible that Texas could not win this one, because I'm not going to say that, but show improvement, show that they are a team to watch. Could Quinn Ewers have a Sam Ehlinger USC freshman year type of moment here? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Was a Heisman winner on that USC team?
Was he? USC, Darnold didn't win it.
No, there was no Bryce Young on that team.
No. Yeah, the USC is definitely not Alabama. I don't know why you're trying to throw that in there. I said soften it a little bit. Not the same. But a big prominent program. That was on the road. The lights were on for a freshman. This is a home game, but obviously the opponent here much better than that USC team was a couple of years ago. But this would be obviously, Dylan, a game where you cement your legacy early on and show that you mean business. But then, of course, it's more than Ewers. You got a team that needs to win the game, not just him. Bijan Robinson, Dylan, we love the mustard. I haven't tried it yet. I wanted to see if it's really a touchdown in your mouth, quote, unquote.
We need a video of that. You need a taste test video.
Maybe some reaction video. But, yeah, it's more than Quinn. People are going to mention Quinn. It's way more than Quinn. Offensive line, defensive line, corners, everything. Down to the coaching, too.
What I would just say about Quinn real quick, because I know we've talked online, and this is a big game for him, but it's simply like they don't have to win this game, but what I'm looking for is Ewers got that deer in the headlights look. Is he having command of that offense? Is he still going through his progressions? Is he still just kind of like, handling the huddle like a quarterback and a leader should? Or is this Alabama team going to just completely kerfuffle him, and he's just going to have, they're looking at his eyes or just get me out of here. I want to go home.
Exactly. And like you said, I know that was Ewers, but the same can really be said for any of those position groups. Against an opponent like Arkansas last year, it seemed like a lot of the team had that deer in the headlights look. Can they improve on that? And Dylan, if Texas somehow shocks us, I know we both picked against them by a good margin. If Texas somehow shocks us, maybe that's a little bit of a miracle movie type of magic, the U.S. versus the Soviets. I don't know if you're going to agree with me there, but Kurt Russell was amazing in that movie. There's my random Kurt Russell shout out in the Texas-Alabama video. But it's number one Alabama for a reason. But more importantly, Dylan, as always, what do you guys have as your prediction against Alabama and Texas? Let us know down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And as always, have a great rest of your day.